Hi students, this is K. Mujakar, lecturer in commerce. In today's video, we can discuss about the translation exposure in the foreign exchange exposure concept. Before going to discuss this video, till now who have not yet subscribed my channel, please subscribe my channel and also share your friends. Due to sharing, your friends may also get benefited. Okay, here an MNC company, here an MNC company. Here MNC company means nothing but it is an company which has its subsidiaries. They are located in different countries. Why? Because they establish their subsidiaries in different countries due to their products will have an high demand in such countries. So they will establish their companies or their branches in such places also, and they may gain the profit. They may gain the profit. That is called as an MNC company. Here, translation exposure is also known as accounting exposure. Is also known as accounting exposure. See here, when coming to this, an MNC may have a subsidiaries. They are located in different countries. With each subsidiary, they are preparing its financial statements in its local currency. They are preparing their financial statements in local currency. These financial statements, what they have to do means they need to be consolidated with that of the parent unit. Why? Because in order to present the overall performance of the company. Are you understand why they are consolidating? Means with that of the parent unit in order to present the overall performance of the company. Then it is also necessary to bring the financial statements of subsidiaries that are denominated in different currencies into consolidated statements denominated in common currency. Why? Because for the purpose of the uniformity and are also an inter-unit comparison between subsidiaries. Then the consolidation process begins with the translation of the various items of the financial statements into the home currency of the parent unit. See here how the consolidation process begins with the translation of the various items of the financial statements in the into the home currency of the parent unit. Then the translation of assets, the translation of assets, then liabilities, expenses, revenues, gains, losses, and cash inflows. It may be both cash inflows as well as cash outflows is done according to the accounting principles or standards. We know that there are accounting standards. Accounting standards according to the accounting standards 1, disclosure of the accounting policy. Accounting standards 3, cash flows. Accounting standards 6, depreciation. Accounting standards 4, 14, amalgamations. We know that the accounting standards based on the accounting principles as well as based on the accounting standards only they are doing this. Here this is done according to the accounting principles or accounting standards that also prescribed in the FASB. FASB means nothing but Financial Accounting Standard Board. It means FASB we called it as Financial Accounting Standard Board or other such accounting authorities in country of the parent unit. In the country of the parent unit, how they are doing? They are doing according to the accounting principles or accounting standards that also prescribed in the Financial Accounting Standard Board. Beyond that we can't do. There should be follow a particular procedure regarding the preparations of the financial statements. We can't prepare on our own way. Then nevertheless, the restatement of financial accounting will result in gains or losses with changes in foreign exchange rate since the previous reporting period. We know that after preparing the financial accounts, what may happen? Sometimes it may we can get the gains, or sometimes we may get the losses. Already we have discussed. There may be a appreciation or depreciation. If there is an appreciation, automatically we will get the gains. If there is an depreciation, automatically we will get the losses. Why these gains or losses happens? Due to changes in foreign exchange rates. Foreign exchange rates. Next, the extent of translation gains or losses depends on the volume of the business conducted by the each subsidiary unit. Yeah, this is also one. What they are doing in previous we have discussed. All the subsidiaries they are consolidating. Yes or no? All they are consolidating. Here, particularly, the extent of translation gains or losses depends on the volume of the business. It means the size of the business conducting by each subsidiary unit in the particular country of the subsidiary unit, and the accounting methods used by the subsidiary unit as well as parent unit. In other words, we can discuss here. The magnitude of translation exposure is determined by the extent of changes in the exchange rates between the home currency of the parent unit and also the local currency in which the accounts are prepared by the subsidiaries. If a subsidiary unit is in a country with an unstable currency, translation of financial items of that subsidiary unit may result in large magnitude of exposure. See here, if an subsidiary unit is in a country, how with an unstable currency, it means not a stable one, it is an unstable one, it means variable, it means variable currency. The translation of the financial items of that subsidiary may result in the large magnitude of risk. Yes or no? When there is an low risk, automatically nothing to worry, nothing to worry. For example, there is an unstable currency means the currency is in not a constant manner. Automatically what the risk happens, there will be more risk. We know that concept, we know the concept that low risk low returns, high risk high returns. This is the main we are discussing in the accountings. Here also same, due to there is an unstable currency, automatically there may be a risk also more. Further, the method of translation adopted by the parent unit and the extent of the involvement of the subsidiary in the operations of the parent unit, that also see there. These also may also influence the magnitude of the translation exposure. See that they are not only influencing the unstable currency. See here, further the methods of translation also adopted by the parent unit. There may be different methods. There may be a different methods. We can discuss below. There are maybe different methods they are adopting by the parent unit, and the extent of the involvement of the subsidiary in the operations of a parent unit. This may also be, this may also influence the magnitude of the translation risk or translation exposure. As the different accounting standards and rules of the different countries treat the various items of financial statements differently, isn't it or not? For example, our Indian accounting standards has some rules and regulations regarding the IFRS, International Financial Standards also, reporting standards also may have different rules and regulations. Yes or no? Or USA or USA accounting standards boards has different accounting procedures and rules and regulations. Yes or no? We can't guarantee. Our Indian accounting standards are not following in the other countries. Same, their accounting standards are not following by the Indian country. But there may be a similar changes, but not all. Yes or no? Same here also. There may be as a different accounting standards are and rules of different countries treat their various items of the financial statements differently. MNCs may experience gains and losses, yes or no? For example, there may be a fixed rules and regulations throughout the world. There is no risk. For example, there may be a different risk throughout the world. Automatically, different rules and regulations throughout the world. What it happens? There may be a different types of exposure. Why? Because our business is running towards the global level. Throughout the global level. Here, note that the question of the translation exposure does not arise if any subsidiary prepares the account in the home currency of the parent unit. Thus, translation exposure arises only upon the transforming the financial items of the subsidiary unit. They are measured and stated in different currencies into a common currency, the currency of the parent unit. See here, the question of the translation exposure does not arise if any subsidiary prepares accounts in the home currency of the parent unit. When it will arise? When it will arise only upon the transforming the financial items of the subsidiary unit measured and stated in a different currencies, that also stated in different currencies into a common currency, that is the currency of the parent unit. In such situations only the translation risk arises. But the where the translation exposure does not arises if any subsidiaries of the such MNC company prepares the accounts in home currency of the parent unit will won't arise. Only this case only the translation exposure will arise. Translation exposure will arise. Okay, here we can discuss the methods. The principal methods used to translate financial statements are the current method, non-current method, monetary method and non-monetary method, temporal method and the current rate method. It can be discussed below in depth. Okay. Though there are some controversies with regard to the utility and relevance of translation exposure, as Mary's statement of financial items does not involve cash flows, the consolidation of the financial statements does help the management and other concerned in making right and meaningful decisions. See here, they are saying, the various authors they are saying, many experts they are saying several controversies in this accounting or translation exposure. Why? Because with regard to the utility, nothing but its usability and also its relevance of translation exposure. But as Mary statement of financial state items does not involve cash flows. What they are saying? They are not involving any cash flows, but the consolidation of financial statements does help the management and others concerned in making right and meaningful decisions. Of course, we are also accepting, but however, remaining apart, that is the consolidation of financial statements. However, at least say for example, there is an 100%. At least there is an we think that there is an some default and we have an only 70%. We have an 70% and 30% are errors. However, it gives 70% information. Yes or no? To move forward in order to make the rightful decision. So, such type of translation exposure is using by the experts to solve their problems and make the right decisions in a right manner. Then MNCs adopt several methods to translate the financial statements of their subsidiaries. Different methods attempts to treat the various items of financial statements differently. See here, there are many methods it aims for the to translate the financial statements of their subsidiaries. Different methods they are attempting to treat the various items of financial statements that also in differently only. But a company adopts a particular method depending on its policy as well as dictates of the accounting authority of the country. But see here, There may be different methods. But here a company may adopt a particular method. Say for example, they may be adopted a monetary method or non-monetary method, current method or non-current method. Like this, a company has its choice, but a company adopts a particular method that also based on the policy as well as dictated of the accounting authority of the country only. But we doesn't have. It has been depends on the policy as well as accounting authority of the country in which parent company is located. Say for example, a parent company is located in United States. Its branches are located in India. Then automatically, what is the accounting authority of the United States should follow that rules and regulations by that company. Okay, here we can discuss some more elaborately regarding the translation methods. They are the current method or non-current method, monetary method or non-monetary method, temporal method as well as current rate method. Okay, what is the first method here? Means current or non-current method. Current or non-current method. According to the current or non-current method, here the values of the all current and assets and liabilities of the foreign subsidiaries are translated into a home currency. See here, they are taking only a current assets and current liabilities. They are not considering any fixed assets. They are not considering any fixed assets. So this is one of the method in the translation method. According to the current or non-current method, the values of all current assets and liabilities of a foreign subsidiaries, they are translated in which means in home currency of the parent company, that also in which at the current spot exchange rate, that also in terms of the current spot exchange rate, not in a future exchange rate, that also in the current spot exchange rate. Why? Because we are discussing here itself, it is the term of current or non-current method. However, the non-current assets and liabilities are translated into the historical exchange rate, it means that also in terms of the historical exchange rate, means that is nothing but the spot rate at the time of a particular asset item was acquired or a liability time item incurred. See here, non-current assets and liabilities are translated in the historical exchange. They are in the historical exchange rate, that is nothing but the spot rate at the time of a particular asset item was acquired or a liability item incurred. Thus the translation of the various of the assets according to the current or non-current method may result in gains or losses, that also depending upon the whether the foreign subsidiaries has positive working capital or negative working capital in the local currency, or whether the exchange rate has appreciated or depreciated over the period of references. See here, for example, if there is an positive working capital, we know that current assets working capital is equals to current assets and current liabilities. We know that. What is meant by here working capital? Working capital is nothing but the capital which has its duration period or which the assets are converted into liquid cash within a 1 year or less. That is nothing but the working capital. Working capital is also known as the current assets and current liabilities. But one term you to be remembered in this method. Here there is not included any fixed assets, only current assets and current liabilities only. Other thing, if there is an positive, other thing, if there is an positive working capital, we may get the profits. If there is an negative working capital, automatically we will get the losses. Or in other way, if there is an appreciation, we may get the profits. If there is an depreciation, we may get the losses. We may get the losses. That also over the period of reference. As far as the income statements are concerned, all items except those associated with non-current assets or liabilities are translated at the average exchange rate, that also during the reference period. That also during the reference period it is. Then the items of the income statement associated with non-current assets liabilities are, see for example, now itself we are saying non-current assets. What are the non-current assets means nothing but the depreciation. We know that in accounting, depreciation, the best example is non-cash assets, we will say. Yes or no? Depreciation is an loss. Yes or no? Current assets are, we know that debtors, stock, all this etc. Bank, all this. But not depreciation is an non-cash asset. It is not a cash asset. So best example of non-current assets and liabilities are depreciation, amortization, or write-off, or translated at the rate which the corresponding items in the balance sheet where they were translated. These are the non-current assets and liabilities. Next one method is monetary or non-monetary method. Okay, this method also we can discuss in elaborately. Observe here, a firm's assets and liabilities may categorized into both monetary and non-monetary items. Here, the monetary assets and liabilities, those that are involved in contractual cash flows, that they are involved in contractual cash flows. Already I have explained contractual cash flows means, say for example, it interest may changes from 6 months to 6 months, but automatically overall duration it completes, say for example 5 years. Say for example 5 years. Think that there is an any one contractual cash flows, there is an agreement, but here when coming to the contractual cash flows, its interest may changes from 6 months to 6 months, but its overall duration will be 5 years. That is meant by contractual cash flows. Here the monetary assets and liabilities are those that involve in contractual cash flows. Further, the monetary assets represents a claim to receive, whereas monetary liabilities involve a obligation to pay. Yes or no? The monetary assets and liabilities are those involve a contractual cash flows. Okay, we have learned about the contractual cash flows. Then here further, monetary assets means nothing but what it means. It is represent a claim to receive. It is nothing but claim to receive. But whereas monetary liabilities involve a obligation to pay. Yes or no? A liability means automatically we have an obligation. We have an obligation to pay to the counterparties. But a monetary asset means automatically we will receive a claim. Here the firm knows in advance when such claims will get realized and when the obligations have to be discharged. This is the size and timing of cash flows are known in advance in case of monetary items of the balance sheet. See here, in this method, automatically we are knowing, it may be any firm or entity or MNC company or subsidiary company, here the firm or entity, they are knowing in advance. They are knowing in advance. That is when such claims nothing but monetary assets are claimed to receive, claims will get realized and the obligations to be discharged. That is the what is that is, that is the size and timing of cash flows. It may be cash inflows or cash outflows are known in advance in the case of monetary items of the balance sheet, like long term debt. Long term debt means nothing but what is my long term debt? It is nothing but the debentures. It is nothing but the debentures is an long-term debt. Still, trade creditors like sundry debtors, deposits, overdraft, or and cash. Here, monetary items means it may be include both. It may be include both. I'm just saying here monetary items. I'm not saying here the monetary assets. See here. I'll I'll just show you a mark here. What are the monetary items means? What are the monetary items of the balance sheet here? Long-term debt, trade creditors, sundry debtors, deposits, overdraft, cash are the examples of the monetary items of the balance sheet. Then non-monetary balance sheet items are also known as real assets and liabilities. What they include here? They include the physical assets, human assets, inventories, etc. Thus, monetary assets and liabilities are those that does not involve contractual payouts. Why? Because they are the non-monetary assets and liabilities. Only we have contractual payouts only in case of monetary assets and liabilities only, but we doesn't have any contractual payoffs regarding this non-monetary assets and liabilities. One thing to remember here, monetary assets we can know in advance, it is nothing but we have claim to receive, but when coming to monetary liabilities, we have obligation to pay. We have obligation to pay. But here, the size and timing of cash flows we can know in advance in case of the monetary items of the balance sheet. Okay. Under the monetary or non-monetary method, monetary items are translated at the current spot exchange rate and non-monetary items are translated at the historical rates as done in the case of non-current items. See here, what we have done here. Same before also in current method, they have translated at the current spot exchange rate. In non-current method also what they have done? They have translated in the historical exchange rate. Same here also we are using the same. Here in monetary items they are translated in current spot exchange rate and non-monetary items are translated at the historical rates as done in the non-current items. The average rate during the reference period is applied to the translated the items of the income statement except those items are related to the non-monetary assets for which the exchange rate is applicable to their respective monetary assets is also considered here. See here the average exchange rate during the reference period it is applied. Why? Because in order to translate the items of the income statement, but except those items related to the non-monetary items for which the exchange rate applicable to the respective monetary assets is considered. Next, the temporal method. Next method of translation exposure is temporal method. Okay, here we can discuss what is meant by temporal method. Under two methods we just discussed the choice of exchange rate, that is current spot rate or historical spot rate. Why? Because it automatically it depends upon the type or nature of the assets and liabilities. But here in temporal method, the choice of exchange rate is based on whether the balance sheet item is originally evaluated at historical cost or market value. See here, previous what we have, there is an choice. Say for example, in current method and also in monetary method, we are choosing in particular one, and in non-monetary assets and in assets and liabilities in non-current method they are choosing an historical exchange rate method. But here in temporal method the choice of exchange rate is based on whether the balance sheet items is originally that also evaluated at historical cost or market value. If an item, see here, it is based on the original evaluation it is based on the original evaluation, that also in the historical cost or market value. But if an item is originally stated at historical cost, its translation is carried out the historical spot rate of exchange. Alternatively, if the item is originally stated at market value, then the translation is carried out the current spot rate of exchange. See here, only two here. Whether it may be based on the original evaluated at the historical cost or market value. If any item is based on the historical cost, then translation automatically carries out throughout the historical spot rate. If it is carried out through market value means, then translation is carried out at the current spot rate of exchange. Here, income statement items are translated at an average exchange rate during the period of reference. See here, in any method regarding foreign exchange exposure, there may be some period of references, 3 months, 6 months, 1 year, or whatever it may be, according to the terms and conditions, an agreement between them. Here, income statement items are translated at an average exchange rate during the period of reference, but the cost of goods sold, depreciation expense, and the amortization charges are translated at the historical rate of exchange, remaining irrespective whether the corresponding balance sheet items are translated at the historical or at the current spot exchange rate. But only these remaining items we can translated either through historical or other method or current spot exchange rate method. But only these are the items like cost of goods sold, depreciation expense, and amortization. These items are only translated at the historical rate of exchange. Remaining, it may be based on the market value or historical value. Then other method is current rate method. Current rate method. In previous we have discussed about the current and non-current method. Okay, here under the current rate method, all the items of the balance sheet and income statement are translated at the current spot rate of exchange. Since the all items are translated at the current spot rate, in previous we have discussed both in current as well as in non-current method, but here purely we are discussing about the current rate method. We are discussing purely about the current rate method. Here under the under the current rate method, all the items of the balance sheet and income statements are translated under the current spot exchange. Since why? Because since all the items are translated at the current spot rate, then the proportion or ratio of different items of accounts will remain the same. However, MNCs will experience a translation gain or loss resulting from appreciation or depreciation of the home currency of the parent unit. See here, if there is an automatically appreciation, we will get the gains. If there is a depreciation, we will get the losses. See here, all the items are translated at the current spot rate only, but the proportion or ratio of different items of account will remain same. It may be all translated at current spot, but only the proportion or ratio of different items of accounts will remain the same. Based on the appreciation or depreciation, we will get the gains or losses. If the value of foreign currency or denominated assets is more than, if the value of the foreign currency denominated assets is more than that of the foreign currency, then denominated liabilities or depreciation, appreciation of the home currency may result in gain here. That is the current rate method. These are the various methods of the translation or accounting exposure. Thanks for watching.